Good evening on this wet Friday. Well, not wet here anyway. First and foremost, if you are in the path of Hurricane Florence, Tropical Storm Florence, whatever it is for you, where you're at, I wish you peace and wholeness and stay strong. Do not feed the storm any fear, but do be mindful and do be safe. It's going to be mainly a wet show anyway. So, best wishes to everyone who is in that path. I'm here in Charleston. I'm in the path too, but hasn't hit us yet, and it's not as bad as they were trying to make it out to be. Be mindful of chasing into fear. Now, enough on that. This is Tony, also known as T Jinx on Instagram or Heal and Reveal on Facebook, and of course, if you're on here, then you know me as Heal and Reveal Tony Jenkins on YouTube. Earlier today on my social media platforms, I developed this little grid right here, and I put different gemstones out there, and I put the Pokemon cards out turned over, and I asked people to select a stone, and I wanted to see what each stone was speaking towards the person's power, and the card will speak towards their power or their weakness. So the stone was just basically letting you know what attribute it had to offer you, and the card was speaking towards where you are at, whether it is in a gain of strength or going through a spot of weakness. And weakness isn't always a bad thing, so don't take it that way. Starting from the top, we had opalite. Opalite is a very good stone, also known as Tiffany stone. A lot of misnomers about it. Most opalite is man-made with opal parts and all that other stuff. So it's a man-made gemstone. Does have a very good vibration from my experience. But the stone itself is used for communications and transitions, and it helps to remove blockages. So what the stone can offer you is if you're going through transitions right now, and there's a lot of traumas or stuff that you're working through, this can aid you in getting rid of them and help you find better sense of communication, not only with yourself, but others and, higher self. The card assigned to that is electrite. An electrite is a 60. I mean, it's a call for foundations. And it is basically telling you that you need to charge yourself. You can't be out here wondering about who's going to charge you up. You have to charge yourself, because if you push too much energy off, if you put too much faith in others, and this goes back into that communications, if you don't have a decent level of communications, if you're placing too much dependency on other people or other things, and this include some of us who walk the ancestral route, we won't do anything unless we feel like the ancestors have given us our blessing. There's some truth to that, but there's a lot of misnomers and self-deception in it, or I should say self-deflection. So if you're spending too much time waiting on clarity to move or permission to move instead of moving and listening while you're moving, then you can bite yourself. You can bite yourself in the own ass. Let's just call it what it is. So you need to be aware of that. Electrite's ability is to charge itself up, but it takes in too much information from external sources and not enough from itself. It could come back and bite you. So short and sweet on that one. Going over to the next one, it's a Carnelian. Carnelian is an ancestral stone, stone of the dead in a lot of different ancient cultures, and to include Egypt, also known as Kemet. But it's also a stone for courage and motivation, and it's a very good protection stone. The orange will kind of let you know that it's related to the sacral, so it's very much tied into your emotional field. The card that comes with it is a dark dragonair. Now, a dark dragonair is pretty much given the gift of evolutionary light. Again, this is another card of foundation. Sorry, I wasn't aiming over it the right way. But it has a lot of strange abilities and a lot of strange powers, where, thinking that it's an air sign, but it's also a dragon. So you're thinking, oh, it's a dragon that's going to be breathing fire. No, this dragon has evolved to the point to where it is now mastering new levels of the elements. So basically what this dragonair is telling you is that you now have the ability to arise above the normal misnomers that you would get. Think about it, that orange, you associated orange with fire. This is a being who has normally walked in fire, but who has transcended the need to always be burning people. He can create, ice and air and all these other things. So this is a sign of transmutation, and that's probably going to come from getting a proper foundation. The other ability on the card is a tail strike, and it's like, think about it. If you're standing still, if you have a good balance, then if something's coming to your front, you are able to see it, and now you can use what you have been hiding, you know, and you can look at that as your tail, the abilities and the strengths that you have already tucked in, because you don't want to walk around like a bleeding heart and showing everybody everything you know or everything you can do. That'll put people in the place of testing you. So this dragon here, again, he's a delusional. He has strange powers that most people, I'm saying he's illusional, he's not delusional. He has strange powers that most people won't expect him to have. And that's good. I mean, because if somebody underestimates you and you have already mastered who you are, then you can pop them upside the head. So this is really a card of strength. And your power right now is to just stay in your zone and realize when you don't have to be, you know, burning people out here, but do be ready to hit them with a tail strike if they test you too far. But stay in your state of evolution. And I think that'll make sense for somebody. The next one we have is Hawkeye, or Hawk's Eye, you know, different names for different things. It's also Blue Tiger's Eye. With Blue Tiger's Eye, it's the stone of illumination. It illuminates issues, and it's very good at getting rid of stress relief. And the video does not do it good justice, the lighting, but it does, like you might catch it there, it does have that blue in it. So again, it's called Hawk's Eye or Hawkeye, but it's Blue Tiger's Eye. The card related to that one is a Cascoon. A Cascoon is basically a Pokemon that's going through the cocoon phase. But this one's in reverse. So you need to go into it. And if you were out here, you know, pretending to be a butterfly, but you have found yourself being tested beyond what you thought you were ready for. In other words, you emerged from your cocoon too fast. And a lot of us have done that. We thought we did shadow work, but we came out here and realized, whoa, we wasn't ready. There was more things that we left inside that cocoon. Go back in there, because that poison has stung you enough to make you realize that you need to get back in there and develop a more solid defense, and that's that iron defense. So if you stepped out of your cocoon too early, and things are, you know, again with illumination, if things have been coming to you too fast, too bright, too quick, then you do have the ability to step away from the poison and regroup, regain your defenses, and then come back out that cocoon again. You don't have to just give up and give in and stay out here and be all bright light, you know, burnt by the light. So that's enough on that one. Getting over here, we have Dragon Skin, also known as Dragon Blood Jasper. Dragon Skin Jasper, Dragon Blood Jasper, same thing. With a Dragon Skin's Jasper, it speaks towards immunity and vitality, but it's also a stone to help you give good inner balance. The card for that one, we get through the glare, is a Spheal. And a Spheal is based on a seal. And it's a Pokemon that can't swim. It can't swim well yet, but they move much faster by rolling. And when they're happy, they clap their fins. And so, okay, this is a call for happiness. Remember, the stone itself tells you to regain your vitality through getting inner balance. And you need to find out what makes you happy. And that means you need to isolate the components of you that has been taking you from that 7, which is self-awareness. So you need to pull yourself back in and be aware of the issues that you need to isolate. And that's that ice ball. And that isolation is going to come through self-reflection. And before I go any further, I didn't do this card justice. And it should have came out from the reading, like we were saying. You kind of got caught out here in the bright lights, which was overwhelm. It's an 8 in the reverse. 8 in the reverse is overwhelm. 8 upright is abundance. The opposite of abundance, overwhelm. So going over here to the next one, which is a Leopard Skin Jasper. I do have 2 Leopard Skins on here, but I broke it down to the feminine component and the masculine component. So this is the Leopard Skin Jasper with the feminine component. This one deals more with animal guides and shamanism and out-of-body experience. So this is more like intuitive and creative type gifts being brought into play. The card is a Firo. And with Firo, I mean, it's agility. And it's adaptability is what comes to mind for me. It's a 7. It's self-awareness. This is you coming into your gifts. This is you seeing all these different times, places, and people, getting messages from the animals outside, and the crows are following you. You come outside and that same little dragonfly or that same praying mantis or whatever it is just constantly following you. And you're starting to understand that maybe there's more to it than just I keep running into this same creature. Maybe there's a message there. So you're starting to honor the fact that the universe does speak to us from all forms of existence. Especially if you're walking the shamanic route, you have to understand that there is more communication than just human communication. You can't play the shamanic roles if you think that this is all there is. So this is a call for you to honor that. And the best we can honor that, the best way you can honor that is by being flexible and keeping up. You have to be agile. You have to train. You have to be open to things, and you have to basically break barriers at all times. If you look in yourself in the mirror today, you need to see what you're ready to let go of tomorrow, because what you have discovered as a truth on Monday, when you're walking on both sides of the universe, or both sides of the veil, for those of you who can't grasp it on a higher level, when you are walking on both sides of the veil and you are in communication with spirits and existence itself, what you learned on Monday may not be the same on Tuesday. And if you are hardline and caught in order mind, which is the masculine side, then you're trapped. But if you embrace the feminine side, then you can drill and peck your way through, because it's going to show you that you are already in a box, and the only way to get out of that box is by being agile. So that's what I got for the leopard skin. The next stone is a dumortierite. Some people call it blue quartz, but to me there's a difference. Dumortierite is a stone. It's real good for opening your psychic abilities. It's a stone of patience, but it's also the stone of intellect and the stone of self-reliance. The card that comes with that one is Venonat. And again, we're talking about a lot of foundation. Most of these cards are kind of like based around foundation on some extent. So Venonat has a stun spore. And this is like, it's speaking towards overwhelm, if anything. And it's like, okay, what the card is saying to me is a person may find themselves saying, man, I don't know half of the shit that I thought I knew. And guess what? That's when you have made a gain. When you realize that you are now under the first rule of knowing, that what I thought I knew not at all. That should be your mantra, because everything that you have been taught can easily be untaught, or what you bought as a truth could easily be broken down to a lie, and vice versa. What you taught was a lie could be made into a truth, because it's all perception. And so the best way that you can make sure that you're out here and not sucking in too much venom is by understanding that you need to slow yourself down, and whatever new knowledges you're coming into, or whatever old knowledges you're trying to stand on, you may need to understand when you're being venomous by standing too tall on them or trying to push them out on others, when you're really only hurting yourself, and it's going to put you under that stun spore, because you're going to speak enough poison from trying to push your point across to where you're going to poison yourself. And going over to the next one, we have an orange aura quartz. It's an orange aura rose quartz. And this stone here is a high level man altered stone. It's a rose quartz that's been shot with a bunch of not heavy metals, but platinum and titanium, precious metals is what I mean to say. And it's been given an orange aura to it. So the aura quartzes are always real high vibrational. This one here is really good for sexual healing and sexual balance and sexual conditions. It's a stone of self-esteem, and because of course it has the rose quartz in it, it's good for unconditional love. So the card that comes up with that is a crocodile. Crocodile's a 9. He's at his high vibration. This is a high vibrational card. So he's at his highest vibration. The crocodile, basically, if he loses a tooth, there's another one ready to come back out. So there's never a state of loss. It's always a state of gain. And, with that, you just need to understand that this is a call to let go of attachments. Basically, that's what it is. Let go of what does not serve you before you find yourself plunging into things that you place too much value on. This is a higher heart versus a heart chakra issue right here, is what it's seeing to me. The crocodile, I mean, he's old, he's ancient, and when he comes in the realization of self that he's older than most of the things that he's living through, then he realizes that he doesn't have to plunge himself into this new day system of love through the heart, because that is, again, my perspective, that is strictly attachment. And when you plunge yourself into other people and you put your cords in there and you can't get them broken, then you have bitten yourself in your own ass once again. So remember, this is what your weakness is or what your strength is right now, is what a lot of these cards are coming out to. So just realize that under the crocodile, if you chose this orange aura, that you are not in a state of loss. You're always in a state of gain. So do not assume ownership over anything, because you don't own anything. You have what you need. The next one is the Smoky Quartz. Smoky Quartz is a very powerful stone. It's extremely powerful for grounding. It balances all chakras, so it's good for whole balancing, and it's good for removal of impurities and anything that causes stress. The deal with Smoky Quartz is it's quartz that has been irradiated below the Earth's crust through exposure to graphite and a bunch of other different minerals, and so now it's a natural radiation shield. So when it gets around radiation or geopathic stress, things like that, it naturally absorbs it. So it's an absorption stone. So what it's saying is you need to be absorbing you need to allow this type of energy to absorb the negativity and the BS that may be holding you back. And that comes out in this pawniard in reverse. Think about the key word of pawniard is a pawn. You're being used if you're a pawn. If you know how to play chess, the pawns are the most expendable pieces on the board. And therefore, by a 6, that means they don't have a good foundation. So with the Smoky Quartz assisting you, it's telling you to stop being a pawn, and you need to pierce and cut through all these cores that you may have been attached to that are low-key draining you. So all the negative attachments, negative thought forms, whatever you have attached to you, use that Smoky Quartz energy to get rid of it. Coming over here to the other Leopard Skin, which I told you I was using for the masculine energy. So for this one, we're going to use it for protection and strength. And most Jaspers have a component of being whole healers. So this one we're going to use for the wholeness component. So with this Jasper here, we have a Squirtle. Squirtle. I always wanted to do that. Okay, so if you know the classic Pokemon, he was one of the original one. He was always a little bit of hard head and a little bit of ignorance, but he was also fun loving when you get around the other Squirtle game. So you have this 4, and this 4 in this case is not balanced. This 4 in this case is the box itself. You need to make sure you're not putting yourself in the box. Make sure you're not being too much of a hard head, and don't find yourself out here headbutting against things and ideas that may serve you because you're so, stern and don't want to come out of your shell. You're going to have to embrace change. And the best way you can do that is by, embracing the energy of the bubble beam. Think about that bubble beam is like you're blowing water. You're releasing your emotions. You blow that water to blow yourself, to blow away the things that are giving you a sense of turmoil. So you need to be a Squirtle. You can carry that shell with you, but don't find yourself being trapped within that shell, or that's that 4, that box. So be mindful of that. And that bubble beam is good to save you. It will stun a lot of people if you speak your truth, but you don't speak it from too much emotion, but you speak it with enough emotion to where they know that this is who I am. So squirt them emotions out, but don't find yourself leaking. And going over to this next stone is the Amethyst. Amethyst means undrunk, so don't be out here drunk. The primary components I'm using for this Amethyst is a psychic attack and focus and divine contact, such as in higher guidance. The card for this one is a shroomish, more foundation through the 6. Not only foundation, but this is a sense of perfection. Think about the allegory of, the Christian stories, on the 6th day, everything was created. So this is the sense of that 6 of everything was already done by the time you got to number 6. So that's your perfection. And it's a shroomish. And it's a spore. Again, we're trying to make divine contact with this card here. We're protecting ourselves through the energy of the amethyst, but you're also trying to reach out for higher guidance, not only from, say the angelics or your ancestors or orishas or whatever, but mainly from your higher self. So you are planting these seeds in the sense of a spore. If you have got to the point where you realize that you are in all things and all things are in you, then you can kind of see yourself as beyond the level of a spore. Beyond the level of a seed. You are a spore. Every breath you take is another manifestation of yourself. So you have to spore your energy out there and make sure that you are receiving the reciprocal. If you're going to reach out, you have to also be able to receive. So hope that makes sense to somebody. Going over here, we have Shurl, which is actually black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is very high protection. It's a stone of stillness. It can call silence on some, entity and spirits and things like that. A lot of ancient cultures used to use it when they cast their spells to stop negative entities and things like that from harming them while they were in spellcast mode. So it's good for negativity removal. It's good for environmental protection, stillness, and protection itself. The card for that one, and again, I faced them this way. was a wurmple. A wurmple is that caterpillar. He's like a mix between a worm and a caterpillar, but he's more caterpillar than anything. Let me see if I can read the card. It lives among the tall grass and in forests. It repels attacks by raising the spikes up on its rear. So, I mean, again, we're dealing with protection with this black tourmaline. It is a cause for keeping your guards up, but also understanding that you still need to be out here eating. It's almost time for metamorphosis. A caterpillar that does not eat is a caterpillar that will not metamorphosize. So you need to stay in motion, but you just need to have your sense of protection with you too. So this wurmple needs to get out here and find its tribe, and that's its flock. And it needs to understand that it has to tackle the things that have proven itself to no longer be a part of the fold. And that's that too. It has to do self-reflection and purge the things that does not fit what it wants to see in the mirror, while at the same time moving ahead and getting to its flock. And again, that's its soul tribe. The next one here, which is the next to last one, is the Bloodstone. Bloodstone, also known as heliotrope. Purification, and it assists with family ties, and it's a heavy grounder. With the card we have here is a winged gull in reverse. And think about a winged gull, it's almost like a seagull. And the seagull right here, in this sense, is like the water gun. The water gun, and what I had in the past life reading the other day, the water gun turned out to be the emotional cord, or I'm sorry, not the emotional cord, but the familial cord between people. And it's that, that sense of duty. And remember, this card in the stone itself is a stone for family ties. This water gun is the family tie itself. So with this seagull in reverse, it's saying, if you don't get away from false family ties, you'll never be able to fly. And you'll always be at the mercy of being poisoned. Think about with a seagull. If you give a seagull Alka-Seltzer? Yeah, Alka-Seltzer or something like that. That will eat a seagull's stomach up because of the salt content. So, and it's like, that's very toxic or poison. So this seagull here is always under the threat of damage from these toxic ties that it has. And it's not telling you to go cut your family off, but you need to do assessments with your family, because sometime, and I'll say it all the time and I'll stand behind it, family ain't always family. And that goes on all levels. Find your tribe like how this other guy did. And going over into the last one, we have Botswana Agate. Botswana Agate is a good nurturing stone. It's very good for emotional support, and it's used for overcoming losses or hurts. And the card for that is a clam pearl, and it kind of goes with it. If this person here is under the energy of needing a Botswana Agate because of the hurt, this clam pearl says you may need to pull your energy back in and realize that you already have the pearl on the inside, and you may need to protect yourself. Because if the prize is already within, you're going to need to shelter your energies so much to the point to where you can safely honor the fact that you already have the prize within, and now it's safe for you to continue on out here. And that's that 5 right there. 5 is movement, but if you're not moving from a state of balance, then that 5 becomes manipulation. So if you have found yourself in some recent hurts, the Botswana Agate is a good stone for healing you, but it also tells you to honor yourself as the prize because the pearl is already within. Or to go to certain cultures where the jewel is in the lotus, let's do it like this. The pearl is already in the shell. You need to protect it, and you need to protect yourself, and you just need to heal and get rid of, again, the things that no longer serve, and make sure that you're in motion and manifestation and not in struggle and manipulation. And that's what I got for y'all right here. And these are crepe myrtle flowers. Crepe myrtle is real good for diabetes and other things. Advise you to look it up. Have a good day. Peace and wholeness.